What if the fairy tale ending you waited decades for was never real? Amy Roloff thought she had finally found her happily ever after. After years of emotional pain, a difficult divorce, and endless farm drama, she believed her life had finally settled into peace. A loving husband, a fresh start, the storybook ending she had waited for. But tonight, that happiness is in serious jeopardy. Shocking reports suggest that Amy may have unknowingly married a man who is already legally married to someone else. A long-forgotten marriage license has resurfaced, allegedly proving that Marek has been married to another woman for decades. Chris claims it was just a mistake, a clerical error from 20 years ago. But the woman named on the document says otherwise. She insists the marriage was never dissolved and is now demanding $1 million to sign the divorce papers. If this is true, Amy's marriage could be legally invalid from the start. And why is this woman coming forward after all these years? To understand how Chris, who appears stable and reliable, could be in this legal mess, we have to go back to 1998, long before the cameras, the farm, and before he met Amy. A paralegal recently discovered a marriage certificate from Clark County, Nevada. The names were Christopher Murray and a woman named Sheila. This was an official document, not a forgery. Chris was young and reckless in 1998. On a Las Vegas vacation with friends, he met Sheila and got married at a 24-hour chapel during a wild night. The next morning, after sobering up, he realized he had made a huge mistake. He immediately went to a local lawyer and paid $500 to have the marriage annulled. But here's the problem. The lawyer allegedly never filed the annulment. He had a history of malpractice and fraud, taking clients' money without submitting paperwork to the court. Chris believed the marriage was over, but legally it never was. The marriage license remained valid, and Sheila was still his wife in the eyes of the law. Chris went on to buy property, build a career, and marry Amy, unaware of the ongoing legal issue. But now, a paralegal found the original marriage certificate, and it appears that Chris has been a bigamist all along. His marriage to Amy may be legally invalid, meaning all the promises and celebrations at Roloff Farms could have no legal standing. There might be a way to fix this quietly, if it were just a paperwork issue. Chris could divorce Sheila, pay the fee, and remarry Amy. But Sheila isn't just a name on paper. Rumor has it she has been watching Chris, especially after his appearance on Little People, Big World. She observed the farm, the lifestyle, and the wealth he had gained, and only now has she made her move. Amy reportedly received a letter from Sheila, with no return address, stating simply that she is married to Chris and that they need to talk. The news would have hit Amy like a shock, dredging up old fears and insecurities about love, trust, and betrayal. Chris, confronted by Amy, was confused and denied everything. He claims he is a first-time bride, unaware of any ongoing legal marriage. Amy shows Chris the letter. Inside is the marriage certificate Sheila included. As Chris sees the name, his face drains of color. Suddenly, memories of that wild weekend in 1998 come rushing back. Desperate to find proof, he digs through old papers from his 20s. Finally, he finds a yellowed receipt from a long-gone law firm showing he paid $500 for an annulment. He holds it up like a shield. "See? I paid for it. It should be null and void," he says. Amy, careful and practical, knows a receipt is not a court order. They quickly contact an attorney. The attorney confirms their worst fears. Due process was never completed. Even though Chris tried to end the marriage, the state never acknowledged it. Chris's marriage to Amy is legally invalid because he is still married to Sheila. The room falls silent. Amy is unmarried. Chris is a bigamist. Sheila is demanding money. This is not just heartbreak, it's about money. Sheila isn't looking to reunite. She wants restitution. After 25 years, she may claim spousal support, which could include Chris's real estate business and TV earnings as community property. Chris is trapped. Sheila can either take a fee to dissolve the marriage quietly or drag it into court, risking public exposure and his reputation. Sheila's demand is not small. She wants $1 million. Pay the money, sign the paperwork, promise secrecy, or she will go public. She could paint Chris as a man who left his wife for a reality TV star. Chris could even face bankruptcy if she sues for retroactive spousal support. Amy is heartbroken. Tears fall as she asks herself, "Am I the other woman?" She is caught in a scandal that isn't her fault. The situation also threatens Matt Roloff, who has always been critical of Chris. Matt could use this to question Chris's credibility and stir family tensions. This is about more than a marriage. It's a fight over the Roloff family name. Legally, this is serious. Chris could face fraud or perjury charges for signing paperwork claiming he was single. The walls are closing in. He thought his past in Nevada was buried, but now his reputation is at risk. Sheila is in control, holding the divorce papers until she gets paid. Chris is furious. He wants to sue Sheila for extortion, calling her a gold digger exploiting a clerical error. But the law doesn't care about his anger. Sheila's lawyer calmly reminds him that legally, he deserted his wife and kept assets from her. In the eyes of the law and public opinion, Chris is the one who left his real wife for fame. The current situation, Amy is devastated and questioning everything. Chris is trapped, potentially facing financial ruin. Sheila holds a bomb that could destroy the LPBW series. Chris is determined to fight. He hires a private investigator to look into Sheila's life over the past 25 years. He hopes to find anything that might weaken her position. Has Sheila remarried? Has she acted as though the marriage was invalid? Any misstep could give him leverage. The controversy is only beginning. Amy, caught in this nightmare, faces high emotional and financial stakes. Chris scrambles to protect his reputation, while Amy cries uncontrollably. Watching from the sidelines, Matt Roloff reportedly feels satisfaction. He has long suspected Chris of being untrustworthy. Now he sees his warnings validated. On screen, Chris has tried to show a friendship with Matt, but behind the scenes, Matt has doubts. He believes Chris is too eager to control the farm and too perfect for the role. Now, with the bigamy scandal, Matt can use it as proof of Chris's disorganization and untrustworthiness. Matt reportedly mocks the situation privately, saying things like, "At least I divorced my wife before moving on," adding insult to Amy's emotional pain. Amy feels humiliated, as if men in her life always get away with their mistakes while she bears the consequences. In the present, Amy is emotionally shattered. She has shown her stress on television before, managing her move, her wedding, and her children. Now, this legal and emotional catastrophe adds another layer of strain, making her question her place and her trust in others. Amy sits on the couch, her hands trembling as she clutches the letter. Tears streak down her face, and the reality of what she's learning sinks in. All these years, she believed she had found her safe place, her second chance at love. But now, everything feels fragile. She glances at Chris, who is pacing the room, muttering under his breath, the anger and panic visible on his face. The man she thought she knew, the husband she trusted, is caught in a nightmare he didn't fully understand. And she is caught in it too. Chris tries to explain himself, his words tumbling out too fast. "Amy, I thought I ended it. I thought it was over. I paid for the annulment. I had the receipt. It had to be done. I swear, I didn't know it wasn't filed." But Amy, her eyes red and glassy, shakes her head. "A receipt doesn't mean the state acknowledged it, Chris. You can't just pay someone and hope the problem disappears. This isn't your fault, but it affects me. It's my life too." The attorney on the other end of the phone confirms what they feared. The annulment was never filed. Sheila is still legally married to Chris, and Amy's marriage has no standing in the eyes of the law. They are stunned by the weight of this revelation. The attorney explains the possible consequences. Sheila could demand spousal support, access assets accumulated during the 25-year marriage, and take the matter to court, which would make the situation public. Chris runs a hand through his hair, frustration and desperation evident. He's always been meticulous, organized, careful with every detail of his life, and yet he is helpless now. The receipt that once gave him confidence is useless. His world is collapsing. "This can't be happening," he mutters. "It's not fair. I did everything I thought was right." Amy, meanwhile, struggles with a mix of emotions: betrayal, sorrow, confusion, and fear. She trusted Chris and believed in the life they were building together. And now, she feels as though that life is built on a foundation of sand. "Am I the other woman?" she whispers, voice trembling. It's not about romance anymore. It's about legality, trust, and financial security. Sheila, on the other hand, seems to be holding all the power. Sources suggest she has been quietly observing Chris over the years, noting his success, his farm, his television appearances, and the life he has built. She waited, perhaps biding her time, and now she holds leverage, a marriage certificate and the knowledge that she is still legally his wife. Her demand is clear: $1 million for signing the dissolution paperwork, with a promise of confidentiality. If Chris refuses, she could go public, casting him as a man who abandoned his lawful wife for fame and fortune. The potential for public scandal is enormous, and the financial stakes are high. Retroactive spousal support, claims to property, and legal fees could all add up to millions. Chris, unwilling to back down, hires a private investigator. He needs to know everything about Sheila's life over the past 25 years. Has she remarried? Has she acted as though the marriage was invalid? Has she gained wealth or made moves that could complicate the situation? Any misstep she has made could give him leverage in negotiations or in court. The tension at Roloff Farms is palpable. Amy, who has always been the center of attention on the show for her resilience and humor, now finds herself trapped in a nightmare. She is worried about the future, her reputation, and the impact on her children. The emotional strain is compounded by the public nature of their lives. Every family member, every friend, every viewer could become aware of the scandal if it goes to court. Meanwhile, Matt Roloff, Amy's ex-husband, reportedly observes the situation with a mix of satisfaction and vindication. He has long been critical of Chris, doubting his organization, judgment, and intentions. Now, seeing the chaos unfold, he feels a sense of validation for his suspicions. Matt's private comments, allegedly shared with acquaintances, suggest he is relishing the tension, highlighting Chris's disorganization and questioning his credibility. Inside the Roloff household, Chris is frantically trying to regain control. He meets with his attorney, pacing back and forth, reviewing options, and discussing possible strategies. Legal experts explain the potential outcomes. Sheila could proceed with a civil suit for spousal support and property claims, or she could accept a settlement, but only if the terms are acceptable to her. Negotiating will be delicate, and Chris knows he cannot show weakness. Amy watches Chris struggle, torn between empathy and frustration. She sees the man she loves, desperate and powerless, but also realizes that this crisis impacts her directly. She must navigate her own feelings, protect her children, and plan for the financial and emotional consequences. It's a delicate balance, supporting Chris while also safeguarding her own security and peace of mind. Outside the house, the story has already begun to leak in whispers. Insiders suggest that reality TV crews are aware of the tension, though the full scope is being kept under wraps. The public's curiosity about the Roloffs, amplified by their TV presence, means that any revelation could have lasting consequences for their image, their business dealings, and the farm's reputation. Chris and his legal team consider every angle. Could Sheila have acted improperly over the years? Could her demands be considered extortion? Was there any documentation that proves she knowingly misrepresented her status or allowed him to live as though he were single? These questions dominate their discussions as they plan a careful approach. Meanwhile, Amy struggles privately with her emotions. She has been through heartbreak before, after her divorce from Matt, and thought she had found stability. Now, uncertainty and fear overshadow her sense of security. She questions her judgment, the trust she placed in Chris, and wonders if she can ever fully recover from this betrayal, even if it was unintentional. In the midst of this chaos, Chris is forced to confront his past. The decisions he made in his 20s, choices he thought were minor or easily corrected, have come back with enormous consequences. His life, his marriage, and his public image are all at risk. The past he buried in Nevada has resurfaced, and there is no easy way to fix it. The tension escalates as negotiations with Sheila continue. The private investigator uncovers small details about her life, relationships, potential remarriages, and financial dealings that could influence the case. Chris hopes that by understanding Sheila's actions over the past 25 years, he can find leverage and potentially reduce the financial or public impact. Amy, meanwhile, is caught in the middle, her emotions raw and exposed. She worries not only about her own future, but about the impact on her children and family. The media, social circles, and the public could all react if the story becomes widely known. She feels trapped in a situation she didn't create, powerless to control how it unfolds. The legal, financial, and emotional pressures converge, creating a perfect storm. Chris faces potential bankruptcy, Amy faces heartbreak, and Sheila wields power that could upend everything. The Roloff name, built over decades of hard work and public trust, is at risk of being tarnished. As days pass, Chris continues to work with his legal team, strategizing, negotiating, and preparing for every possible scenario. Amy supports him, though the strain is visible. Together, they face uncertainty, trying to protect their family, their reputation, and their future. In the background, Matt Roloff watches, quietly satisfied that his warnings about Chris may be validated.